black supremacy. And with this particular video, I want to show how the attack on R. Kelly exposes the immense fear of black male domination. And I can make this a very long video, but I want to make it short for you because I can go so far in on this. But I know you have time, and I want to reach an audience that can consume it and digest it and really grow from it. So I'll make it as short as possible. But I want to start off saying I have much respect for R. Kelly, having nothing to do with the allegations or controversy that surrounds him, but just off him being from Chicago, the city where I'm from the neighborhood that I'm from. And I can say that I've been on the block with R. Kelly. I was out there on the block with R. Kelly in Hyde Park. I can say that sincerely, because that was my block, that's my neighborhood, that's where I'm from. And knowing that he achieved the success that he has, even though he considers himself to be a broke legend, he is a legend nonetheless, because the streets have yet to take him under. He ain't got a whole bunch of bodies on his name, which he could have a whole bunch of bodies under him, or he could be somewhere sitting up in Supermax, or he could be dead himself. That's how rough the streets of Chicago are. And for him to have made it through that, being so much of a positive light to many, and being an inspiration to so many, he would have to be respected as an OG and given a lot of respect. If you know how it go in Chicago, if you know how it go down, if you know what it's really about, you have to respect R. Kelly. Because the way he has even went about dealing with these allegations and dealing with those who have went against him, the spiritual approach that he has taken, you have to give him credit, even though he's not perfect, not spotless, and even if he's not completely innocent. You have to give him credit, because it could have been a lot. It could have went totally different in Chicago. It could have went down a totally different way, and I'm absolutely clear on that. So to see that he has made it as much as he has, R. Kelly, even though clearly there's a lot more, he have to be given some credit. That's a fact. Just like you have to give Bill Cosby some credit for what he did with the Cosby Show and projected the positive image of black people. You have to give him credit. No matter how negative you feel about the allegations or how much you want to ride the train of the lynching of Cosby, you have to give him credit. And I'm saying personally, with R. Kelly, I'm really amazed that he made it this far with the type of hatred and crabs in a bucket situation that's somewhat going on in Chicago. And that's no disrespect to my city, but it's just something we have to look at. We have to examine it. But clearly he's found alternative routes to deal with it. And truly he has been creative in the studio. And clearly he's been very creative outside of the studio, because he's avoided going the route that most had to go to become the legend that he has become, alive, dead, or behind bars, or with blood on his hands. He's found the route beyond that to get to where he's at today, to learn from his mistakes and teach others from his mistakes, and still be a great inspiration in the lives of many people. So I have a lot of respect for R. Kelly. No one can take that away. And it has nothing to do with the allegations or the controversy surrounding him. My respect is beyond that. Trust me. I look at him as a human being, facing the obstacles of challenges of being a black man, growing up on the streets of the south side of Chicago, and finding his own way to confront and deal with those challenges and deal with that circumstance, and coming out of that as a man. So I give credit purely based on that alone. The other stuff, I'm about to talk about that in the video as well, but I had to start with that because I just had to bring it down. I went to the same high school that R. Kelly went through. I'm from the same neighborhood. where R. Kelly is from that same area, and been out there on the block with him. So this is coming from a heart to heart. This is not some stardom or a fanfare or some groupieism. It's none of that. I understand them streets and what that's about. So I got to give them respect just on that level. Now, let me talk about the greater narrative though. The greater narrative of the attack on R. Kelly exposing their fear of the dominant black man or black male dominance. And I started to call it black male patriarchy, but that's too cleaned up. That ain't gonna even get it. That's gonna confuse many. So I'll just say black male dominance. Now, from the 19-minute song that R. Kelly put out called I Admit, some very interesting revelations came out of that song. That R. Kelly did not have sex slaves, does not have a sex cult, but is he himself a sex slave of the music industry, a sex slave of the women that follow him, that he spent 30 years of his career trying to appeal to satisfy, to excite, and to fulfill their fantasies through his artistic ability. He's been a sex slave of that for 30 years, and he's mastered being a sex slave. He's a sex slave and a sex toy. He is not the black male dominant figure that is coming under attack. But they fear the rise of that black male dominant figure to such a capacity that they would attack that which even appears to be that for even just one moment. That R. Kelly was playing a role to fulfill the fantasy of his audience, because some of his audience, contrary to the belief of the feminist movement, want to be dominated, want to be in submission, want to be controlled, want to be spanked by a black male dominant figure. And R. Kelly fulfills their desire for that. So while it looks like he's dominating over them, he's fulfilling their fantasy. They're telling him what they want. And what they want is black male domination, to be dominated and to be controlled by a black man. And as a sex slave, as their sex toy, he is fulfilling that fantasy. His music has been fulfilling that fantasies. 12 Play, his music has been for the women, representing the women, what they want, what they desire, to the point where he's become an expert at it. And now that's what he's doing. And now he has multiple women because he's able to satisfy and fulfill their fantasies. It's just the paradox of that is one of their fantasies that taps into their innate womanhood is to be dominated, controlled, and to be in submission to a black dominant male figure. That's their fantasy. So when society see him acting out their fantasy, they hate black male domination. They hate black male patriarchy. So when they see him even playing the role, he goes immediately under fire. He ends up on their radar. The alarm is sounded off. This might be the black male dominant figure that has escaped through the cracks in this black male effeminate society that we live in today. This might be the one. So thus he becomes crucified for being the Pied Piper, playing the tune that they want to hear, the tune of black male domination, the tune of black male patriarchy. He's just playing the tune, but they don't like the music. Even though it's just music, they don't like what it implies. They fear the day the black man will become dominant and become in control. They fear that day. And they know his true domination and his true control starts with the black woman. It starts with the black female. And then it spreads to the family. Then it spreads to the village, community, society, nationhood. They fear the day that the black man will become dominant. and rule over his woman once again. Because they know once he got his woman, everything else that comes with it will be under siege. So this imagery, this semblance of black male dominance that R. Kelly is presenting strikes fear in the enemy. It strikes fear in the Negro. It makes the Willie Lynch chip activate. It strikes fear in the hearts of the feminist movement. That's why they want to mute R. Kelly. Because they're afraid of that. He ain't even that. But just the image. So he played in a fantasy of wanting to be dominated by this black man. Dominated by this potent black man. But for doing that, he has become villainized. But so he has to play the villain. Because black male domination has been villainized in this society. He just didn't know how much he would become villainized. So he turned the villain into his character, into his role, into his act. He became the villain. And he set himself up to be crucified for what the woman so desireth in her heart, to be dominated by a black man again. So he's being crucified for that, for coming in the image of black male dominance. See, that is the Messiah. That is the Christ consciousness. The black male dominance. Where the black man will dominate and come back into rulership. So if you look like it, if you just see, when people hate something, they hate that which even looks like it. They hate that which even appears to be. They don't even want you to play with that imagery. Don't even play with that. And here you have R. Kelly just playing the role. Just playing it. Just to satisfy and fulfill women, and attracting them to him based on playing this role. But he's also attracting the enemies of that. He didn't know he was playing with fire. So he's being attacked because they fear black male domination. They fear it because their rulership is over when the black man becomes dominant again in society. When a black man gets back on his throne and gets back in power and gets back into rulership and is in control, they fear that day. And they won't even let the Pied Piper play that tune. We don't even want to hear that music. We don't want to hear that. So he didn't have a sex cult. He's part of a greater sex cult called the entertainment industry. He's part of a greater sex cult called the objectification of black male sexuality. Because most races look at us as superior sexually, more stamina, endurance, well endowed. We've been objectified since slavery. The black man has been a sex slave since slavery. That it's all right for us to objectify you sexually and athletically and physically. But if you look like you're in some position of control and power, then we must break you. We must turn you into a broken Negro. We've been broken for over 400 years. They must break that black man that feels that he is dominant, that he's in control, that he can do what he want to do, that he's independent, that he's sovereign, that he's invincible, that he's immune, that he's unreproachable. They must break that black man. And you got to be broken. That's why we live in a society where black men have become so effeminized. Because they've been broken spiritually, intellectually. Their manhood broken. We've been broken for over 400 years, and we've tried to use spirituality, black consciousness, religion, theology, Afrocentrism. We've tried to use all of it to build ourselves back up again. But we have been broken. And the broken individual is who is acceptable by society. That's why your Colin Kaepernick can be a slave to the plantation of football. But if he voices opinion against police brutality, if he voices his opinion and shows his integrity as a human being, then he is silenced and he is rejected. But as long as he just played a role of the submissive, athletic, physically objectified entity, then he's fine. But as soon as he opens his mouth and seems like he seeks to control or change things for the better of black people and put his foot down, then that's when he's demonized. That's when we got to get rid of him. That's when we got to break him. So now if you hit a 19 minutes of R. Kelly and his melodious and harmonious discourse of I admit, he sounds broken, because that's where they want to get him. They want to break him down, because we're in the era of the broken Negro. And somehow the image that was represented of black male dominance in Old Testament R. Kelly slipped through the cracks in a time capsule that escaped to the present day, that R. Kelly is the last of the black male dominant figures in music and entertainment. He's the last of them. Every other Negro sounds broken. Every rapper in their feelings. Every rapper sounds like a woman. Every rapper is putting on a dress. Every rapper is, the rappers are broken men. This whole effeminization is broken manhood. Mumble rap is moaning, is Negro spiritualism. These are broken Negroes. Drake in his feelings. R. Kelly in his song in his feelings, crying out, sounding broken. He has to admit, he has to be guilty. He has to come off the throne of black male dominance, having control over his cipher, having control over his woman, having control over his household, control over his kingdom, control of his empire. He has to come off his throne and become a broken man and confess guilt. He's guilty for portraying black male dominance in a time of the effeminization of the black man, where the black man is broken down. He's guilty. He must admit that. But he really was a sex toy. And the paradox is, they wanted to play a game of dominance and submission, but black male dominance and black female submission. Now, I was wrong. I made some comparisons between R. Kelly and Hugh Hefner in my latest, in a video I did talking about R. Kelly. I said, dang, Hugh Hefner can have all these women and it's no problem, but R. Kelly have all these women, there's a problem. It's a white and black thing. But this is the problem with that. Hugh Hefner was actually a corporate pimp that was bold with what he was doing. He was a corporate pimp that controlled women and exploited women for financial gain, and he did it legally, but it's still pimping. R. Kelly was not even a pimp. He was a gigolo. He was a male sex slave. He was a male sex toy. See, with Hugh Hefner, the women was the product. With R. Kelly is the product. R. Kelly was the product that he's distributing. Hugh Hefner was actually exploiting women. So they're not even in the same category, in the same league. But it just so happened that one of R. Kelly's customers of one of his markets, contrary to the feminist movement, whether male feminists or female feminists, they wanted to experience black male domination, be dominated by a black man and submit to a black man and be under complete control of the black man. That's what their market want. That was their erotic fantasy. That was their deep, dark fantasy that they wanted from R. Kelly. But just because he played that image, he went under attack, because don't nobody want to see that. So that's the difference between Hugh Hefner and R. Kelly. But Hugh Hefner was accepted because he was clearly in a dominant position, clearly the owner of the Playboy Bunny Ranch. Clearly he was the alpha male. Clearly he was the ruler of that house. And here is R. Kelly is just appealing to the sexual fantasies of women, utilizing his music and himself as a product for over 30 years. Deep. And he was turned, if you listen to the 19 minutes, he was turned into a sex toy at a very young age, at 14 years old. That's when he became a sex toy, at 14. And he's been mastering it ever since. He was turned into a sex toy. But he just got so advanced in being a sex toy that he tapped into women's deepest desire, which is to be dominated by a black man, to be controlled and in submission to a black man, which the world fears that they will come. Look at R. Kelly in this picture and listen to the I Admit. Look how dominant he looks in this picture. This is just the role he playing for the women. But look what they broke him down to in his I Admit song. They want to break him down. They don't want that image of dominance and control to be put out there. They have to break you. That's why they're breaking Cosby. That's why they're mortalizing Charlemagne the God. And you talk about black men and you talk about the black community. Their job since the plantation has been to check a nigga right along with their master. You can't have no Negro thinking he can do whatever the hell it is he want to do and get away with whatever the fuck it is he want to get away. You can't have no. You have to check these Negroes. And even if R. Kelly didn't do what he was accused of doing, which most people have no way of proving, even though the judge decided that he was innocent. Even though that, just in case some Negro think that they can get away with that, what R. Kelly was accused of. Just so no Negro ever think that they can get away with what they want to get away with. Crucify R. Kelly, just as an example. Just in case he did do it. Just in case he thought about doing it. Because no Negro can do what the hell they want to do. And that's just the way it is. And that's kind of the crabs in a bucket mentality that is in Chicago as well. No Negro can do whatever the hell they want to do. It's crabs in a bucket mentality. But if no nigga can do whatever they want to do and get away with whatever the hell it is that they want to do, neither can you. And that keeps us all down. That keeps us all in the bucket. Because we have to keep each other in check. Thus keep each other in the plantation, under the laws, rules, and regulation of the plantation. So that as a nation, we will never rise above the plantation. Because we keep each other under the rules and regulations of the plantation. So they have to keep him in check. Don't have him thinking, because if he got away with, in their minds, that which was forbidden. He got away with an abomination. He got away with that which was detestable. He got away with that? Hell no. Who does Negro think he is? Who the hell do he think he is? Do he think he's a god or something? Do he think he's above the white man? He's above the laws of Jim Crow, the laws of the plantation, the laws of white supremacy? Who the hell do this Negro think he is? Got all these women and controlling these women and got them submitting to him and dominating over these women. Who the hell do he think he is? And even if he really don't think he that, just because he acting like that, tear him down. Mute R. Kelly. Mute black domination. Mute black rulership. Mute black male patriarchy. But accept white male patriarchy by default. Accept white supremacy by default. Don't take down the biggest problem. Attack the Negro. See, we in a time of the hatred of male patriarchy altogether. In this era that we're in right now. But usually when we're under attack, black people get it the worst. That's how you can tell what witch hunt we in. Because they going to hunt black people the hardest. If they come up with drug laws, more black people get locked up. Whatever new thing they come up with, it's going to hit the black community first. So they in the hatred of male patriarchy now. This is a new era where feminism is going up against male patriarchy. But the black man is suffering from it. Because it's a blend of hatred of male patriarchy and a mixture of hatred of black male domination. That the black man is rising up, becoming dominant, believing he can do what the fuck he want to do, whatever it is the fuck he want to do. They're afraid of that. That Negro's going to get out of control. That sounds like a rebellion. That sounds like an insurrection. That sounds like a revolution. That Negro's going to start getting out of control because they believe they can do whatever the fuck they want to do. They're not under the white man anymore. They're not under the control of massa no more. That's the real fear of black male domination. Because if we feel that we can do whatever the fuck it is we want to do without consequences, without being under the white man, without being accountable to the white man, if we ever begin to get a thought like that in our mind, then we're going to start taking our shit back. We're going to start taking over land. We're going to start having revenge. We're going to start getting these individuals back. We're going to start laying down our own laws. And we're going to start making up the rules. And we're going to get our goddamn house in order. So they fear that that day would actually come about. That day will happen. But that day really is Meliki on Medine. That is the day of judgment for the white man. When the black man actually wakes up to true black dominance. When they wake up to true black supremacy. The day is over with for the white man. So R. Kelly is presenting the image of this awakening to this black male domination. And somebody might get the message. So they have to crucify the image of your savior. Even though he ain't even the real savior. He's just trying to make his money and just build up his career and appeal to these women. But he's playing with a thin line. He's playing with a thin line between love and hate. Because what is really love, the black woman's submission to the black man, black male dominance is really hated. So I had to touch on this. So everything else to me that's going on with his music career, the people he could not trust that he had to fire, him not owning his record label, brothers and certain people turning his back on him, people not standing up for him in social media. That's the hatred of the black male dominance, man. They ain't trying to bag no Negro to come into supreme power, man. They ain't trying to bag no Negro to become supreme over the white man and his system and all the naysayers and coons and Willie Lynch Negroes. They're not trying to bag no Negro that hard. They're not. They want to keep you at a certain level. They want to keep you in check. And that's just a reality. That is the objective. And if you get too far, too big of yourself, and get too powerful, then somebody they gotta check you. They gotta let you know, look, you ain't controlling shit, nigga. You ain't dominating no shit, nigga. I'm just gonna let you know, nigga, you can't do what you want to do here, man. Hell no, who you think you are? God. That's who I think I am. So the whole thing, even with Charlemagne the God and Bill Cosby, all this is check these Negroes, man. Keep these Negroes in check. That's been going on since the plantation for 400 years, and it ain't even stopped. But here it is, Donald Trump. I grope women, no problem. I grope them and handle them and feel on them. No problem. That's just locker room talk. He's just a man. That's just Trump. He's just doing what men do. He's a white alpha male. No problem. Go ahead, Trump. A black man, just in the image of black male dominance, persecuted and prosecuted. The persecuted and prosecuted penis. Just for projecting the image. You can't even play the sex toy role of a black male dominant figure without coming under scrutiny and attack by those who live in immense fear of black male dominance. Live in immense fear of that, cannot stomach that. So that's deep. That's deep. So R. Kelly shows that, because by him not really being a black male dominant figure, just by default, he's tapped into the energy and moved into the image of it. And it still got them jumping, and still got them trying to take him down, and still got them coming at him. Well, what type of hatred do you think they got for an actual and real black male dominance then? What type of hatred do you think they got for the real black supremacist, the real black messiah, the real black male dominant one? This is just a test of emergency broadcasting with R. Kelly. Where they really at on the Richter scale with the shit? R. Kelly's attack shows their immense fear and hatred of black male dominance, particularly. Harvey Weinstein ain't even going through this. What Cosby and R. Kelly went through. And other Europeans. We're in a season that if you're not a broken nigga like and sound like Drake, I'm in my feelings. If you ain't in your feelings and you ain't weak and broke and hurt and torn down, like XXX sound in a lot of his dissertations, if you're not a broken Negro, then we will have to do everything we can to break your ass down. And how dare you show some type of black male dominance in this day and time that we're living in today. We thought we broke them all. How dare this type of imagery and consciousness slip through the cracks? It's King Noble Black Supremacy. Signing out.